when y'all get in. I just woke up from a nap. So excuse the haziness. I just I woke up from a nap. I was like, well, there we go. But I was thinking as I woke up um, about. Well, the first thought I had was really about a throat chakra, and I was like, huh, so what's going on with that? And then I was realizing just a lot more about things as things went along. Not really realizing it, but rediscovering, I should say. Just putting things together in a sense to where um, I wasn't just aware of it, but I was digesting it and allowing it to go through. Um, but welcome in, y'all. But I was really looking down. I was really thinking about what Mercury retrograde really is. Um, and Mercury retrograde is kind of like an internal checkpoint. Um, and with Saturn being in retrograde, which is really funny as well. It's very much a check on to see how well you've been using your time, and if you really want to go back to spending the time that you took healing to do the same thing you did in the last place, or if you are ready to really evolve, otherwise known as the New Earth Awakening. Um, and just really sitting back and knowing about Saturn and the picture that Goya created and the whole understanding like the lore you could say of Saturn as well. And really just putting things two and two together and just kind of making everything seeing how everything circulates around each other and the whole philosopher's stone and how Rhea tricks Saturn into like not devouring Zeus, which is your soul, and like the spark that you get that ignites you, that brings you into this life. And there's all these things that were just piling on top of each other. Just I had to fall asleep because of all this information that I was getting. I was like, no, I can't be awake and do this because I'm just gonna crash. So I took a sleep, woke up, um, and it just clicked, and it made so much more sense of why the main seven planets that govern us and rule us all end up going in retrograde. But whenever those planets go into retrograde, how it has more of an effect on us. It moves something within us that then makes us feel something externally or experience things um, on the external. Um, as well with the moon and the sun. We have it. We're a double um, a lunar solar planet system with the moon and the sun. The moon governs the waters, the mother, the nurturing the emotions, while the sun garnishes and gives uh, fractured light to us so that we're able to digest it. So it's fractured because it's white light. It's not whole light. If it was a whole light, it would be a rainbow. You would see a rainbow instead of what we see now when we look at the sun. Um, but I was just really digging into shit like that. Like it just really caught my attention. But what you really need to understand is that everything, and I've always talked about this. It's nothing new, but every time we talk about it, we dig a little bit deeper. That's the whole part of eating food. You eat food not only to eat it once, but the next time you eat it, you taste something different about it, or you find something new about the food. So same thing with knowledge. You heard the same thing over and over again, not as an annoyance or to brainwash or whatever the fuck you want to say, but to really allow yourself to digest it because maybe you misheard something or you need to hear it again with new knowledge that you have and just involving your palate, but everything happens for you, not to you. things that happen to you are things that you are just doing to yourself. And really coming down to that conscious level of seeing what really a retrograde for a planet is. And, oh my lord, here goes the throat. And what even is a retrograde? What does it mean to like retrograde? What does it mean to like go actually back and to go through this retrograde? Um, I've just got put on the spot right there by saying that, so I'm gonna get you all hooked up immediately. Um, with the retrograde. And retrograde, it seems just like the motion. Retrogrades are just really the loop that happens. The checkpoint. It just seems like when a retrograde happens, you're really going in and out um, of something, being brought into something to see if you can find your way out, to see if you're going to be able to move forward. Just from looking at the photos, because usually whenever you do look up words, not only do you look up a definition, but you look up a photo as well, because photos and pictures speak more words than a definition could ever speak. But understanding that you are the only thing that exists, and you really have to sit and understand that anything that happens outside of you is something that you're doing to yourself internally, whether it's um as literal as it seems, or if it's trying to grab your attention in a sense. um like for instance, like let's say someone leaves you and then you get worried about not finding anyone to love again, and you're always worried about like what your ex is doing, or if an ex is going to come back, or if someone's going to come back to you. That stems from just feeling alone, and you would only really feel alone as if if you internally, your thought consciousness and your intuitive consciousness, your masculine and feminine inside of you, aren't in that harmonious relationship where you no longer feel alone, but you're secured in the fact that you are lone, and not alone. Um, because that's something you really got to focus on and realize, because again, like, we are only experiencing a mirror. The reality is the actuality of ourselves, whether we're aware of it or not. Consciously or unconsciously, it is something that we do to ourselves. We, as people, have been trained to literally abuse ourselves, and to always think of a worst case outcome. um I mean, for Pete's sakes, we compare anything to do with a negative side of things to be the feminine side, already giving a projection of energy of anything feminine is a no-no, and your emotions are a no-no, and you shouldn't be doing that because your emotions are negative, because they negatively impact other people. It's just pessimistic bullshit that we're fed throughout our lives to really keep us pushed in a box, so we're not able to express ourselves. That's really the war. The war can literally be defeated by you sitting and really talking to yourself and getting to the nooks and crannies within your vest to really solve these things. That's the war. This is what these people knew all along, is that if you can cause a separation within yourself, then fuck, the whole world's gonna get fucked up. Because if you don't like yourself, then, and if you don't like this one thing and you see someone doing the same thing that you don't like about yourself, then you're gonna be pissed off at them for doing it, and then XYZ, and then yada yada. Then it spreads out. All you gotta do is sit back and watch these weirdos poke each other at things that they're not doing themselves. Um, that's really the whole war that goes on. That's the actuality of anything that happens in this world, and that's something that people don't want to have you actualize or realize. And that's the waking of really what's going on. People are too scared to being around each other anymore. Like, you can even talk to the elders, and they'll be like, well, we used to be able to hang around each other. The world wasn't as violent as it was today, and it's because of these mass separations that people have gone through, and they don't really realize when it happened, because it was such a small thing that was fed to people over and over again throughout time, that it became internalized, and it wasn't seen until it was externalized. And now it's kind of too late, because you have these people who walk around day to day not giving a shit about anything of this nature and then complaining that the world's a hellhole, meanwhile being responsible for it being a hellhole. Um, and that's something we all have to understand. It's a group effort. It's our reality, and your reality is only a projection of yourself. The company that you keep really shows a lot about you, and the more you become aware of these things and become aware of really the role that you play, no matter how small, how much of a grandeur effect it has on the grand scheme of things. And that's not saying that you're going to be perfect. Of course not, because when you meet people, you're at a certain level yourself. Um, and then you outgrow that level, and either you outgrow that level with the person as well, or they stay stagnant and still are in that same energy. That's for them to worry about, and not you. All you need to really worry about is understanding. Understanding how everyone's either a past version or a future version of you, and you're existing who you are right now, the only thing that exists the present moment. Um, everyone's an example of you. Everyone's a mirror of you. And even the bad people that like are out in this world, they still mirror back to you something that you're not really noticing inside of yourself. It could be not paying attention to your inner child, i.e., why all these attacks against the youth is going on, or feeling like the world has no love. It's because you, in actuality, don't have love for yourself on that deep level. And what is it to really love yourself? It's to realize that you are a twin individual and not an individual. Once you start really talking about yourself, as not as your ego wants to assume, as an individual, and start realizing that you are actually two consciousness. You are two conscious beings within yourself, which is why you have emotions that come to you out of nowhere the same way thoughts do. That proves that they have a higher conscious that you're just not aware of, but your thoughts want to control that emotion because it's like, oh, this feeling came out of nowhere, I must define it. That's the rational minded brain. It needs to make reason of things. It needs to ration it. It needs to split it up into bits and then define it and put them in categories instead of just letting it exist. And it has the free will to do so. And it's not saying you have to delete that immediately. No, that's like what we're here to reverse. It's hard work to do. That's the many are called but few are chosen. The many is all of us. We are many. But the few that are chosen are the ones that choose themselves to actually walk this path and actualize these things. This is the whole new earth being born, is understanding this. Whether you understand it subconsciously and you're just going throughout your day-to-day life not really knowing what the fuck's going on, or you're over here learning about it, regardless, it's happening. It's more of a emotional, loving place. That's why people are getting more in tune with their emotions. They're paying attention more to that intuitive consciousness, that feminine side, that feminine person inside of them that really is becoming more prevalent in the world, and really showing people like that there's more than the mundane day-to-day, like everyone's an asshole logical thinking. People are starting to really look at themselves like, shit, Generation X is just now waking up, and they used to be very like balls to the walls, like, oh, that's your problem, yada yada this, yada yada that. And now they're waking up. They're expressing their emotions in healthier ways than yelling at people. I've seen so many videos recently of just so many older people crying, and it's like the world's gone to shit. When did this happen? And it's like there's the two emotions. There's the thought emotion of, oh, they're finally getting it, thank God. And then there's the actual emotion of, damn, like they are finally waking up. And this is what we've been trying to tell them. These two conflicting emotions. One's caused by thought, one's caused by the all-giving source, which is, God, Mother, Father. God is plural. And it's this grand awakening that's happening that, some people need explained to have more reason for it, which helps the logical brain make sense of things, but it also gives the logical side of yourself to really break things down and then deny things instead of just accepting them for as they are, which is how we got in this issue in the first place. But regardless, there's an awakening happening, and there's nothing that anyone can do to deny it. The divine awakening is literally called the divine awakening because it's your intuition finally clicking on, because people are realizing that there's more to it than what you would think. You're realizing that, oh shit, the world is moving a lot more than I thought it would, and it's because I'm growing and I'm moving, and the conflicts that I'm experiencing I can actually see within other people. Like, I'm at war and conflict with myself, and I'm in isolation, and I'm trying to do all these things, and then I'm looking around and everyone else is doing the same thing. Everyone else is going through the dark night of soul that I had to go through years ago. All these things are like, everyone seems depressed, but it's not really depression. It's them shedding off these old shells of themselves where they're really starting to see who they are. It's like, yeah, these are things that you've already done. Those people are taking steps that you took years ago, weeks ago, months ago, however long ago, and they're seeing what you seen a while ago, which is crazy. To even imagine that these people that you once labeled as unable to grow and heal and evolve is now growing, healing, and evolving, and it has nothing to do with what they want to think. It has to do with nature, with Mother Nature, with just the cycles of the world coming together and really putting it. Saturn's in retrograde, proving that it's time for something. This time for a change. And either you're ready for it or not. Mercury retrograde. Either you're ready for it to change and it's going to go smoothly, or it's not going to be ready and you're going to really see how fucked up you've made yourself. And it's not even like to hurt yourself again, but truly, like, it's just to show you how you need to listen to yourself, and how nurturing yourself comes from more of a physical outlawed um, appearance rather than an internal appearance. Um, and that's something you really got to pay attention to. Um, because it's just one of those things. Like, things are really, it's beautiful, honestly, but it's scary. But the fear you feel isn't like the fear that you need. The fear is making it so prevalent as a bunch of energy. Maybe these are parts of you that you're afraid of digging into as well, which is why you're feeling fear, because you're knowing that these parts of you that you've been trying to push away for so long are about to finally come up and show themselves to you, and you're a little shaky and worried some because you don't want to admit the truth just yet of just how we are kind of fucked up. We have these thoughts, we have these emotions, we have these feelings, we have these reactions that come from us and are have only us to blame for. It's just taking their accountability, which not a lot of people want to do these days. Is really taking accountability for things, and it's because, well, if I didn't do it today, that means I didn't do it. Well, you did it in a past life, and you believe in reincarnation. So along one of those reincarnations, yes, you did kill 7-year-old Jimmy down the store, which is why Jimmy keeps getting killed over and over again. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's something we're all responsible for. If we weren't responsible for it, and if we didn't do it, it wouldn't be out in the reality of the life we live today. Um, it's just the mirror. It's just how it works. Um, and that doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm a sick individual. Just coming to acceptance that at one point in one of your reincarnations, you did some of these things that were heinous. And we're here to fix that by allowing our rational-minded self to come into contact with our intuitive self, our feminine, and nurturing the sides of us that we ignore, and just being like, yeah, past life I might have been a dick, which is why I'm back here. I was an asshole in a past life. That's why I'm in this fucked up reality still, because I still have yet to really do what I was here to do, which is to create the sacred union within myself so that I no longer have the need for these animalistic thoughts that are present anymore. I'm able to actually think more wholly. And these are things that it takes a while, because these go back eons and eons ago. I mean, think back to the first sacrifice, even, truly. And we're not talking about, the biblical sacrifice that Jesus was involved in. We're talking about the very first sacrifice, like the very first murder, older than Cain and Abel, older than those. Like, we're talking about back in Egypt, whenever the very first. But that's how far back it goes. Um, it really it because you if we're in past lives, you didn't just randomly come here. The past lives, that means you've had to exist at one point on one of these planes. And if you've just done it over and over again, and time is eternal, you come back down. It's just how it is. You wouldn't want to stay up close to God forever, mother, father, because an eternity is a long time. You'd get bored and come back down and like, oh, I want to learn something again. Let me learn something. And that's something that you really have to understand as well, as these feelings of, oh, I want to come back home. Well, go to your heart. Home is where the heart is. Home, mother, father, God has never left you. It's in your heart. They're in your heart. It's called the sacred space for a reason. They say hearts, home is where the heart is for a reason. They say follow your dreams. Where your dreams come from, a deep sacred place. They don't come from your thoughts. Those are daydreams. Those are when you're awake and you're having dreams about things that you can see and then break down into perceive. We're talking about actual dreams, your destiny dreams, your destinal, your celestial dreams that come from within. All those things. Um, and just like, there's no really missing home or wanting to go back to your home planet, because your home planet is literally where your heart is. You're just avoiding your heart. You're avoiding the very one thing that, funnily enough, we all understand and agree with on some sort of level of, we are only a reflection of each other. Everything comes from within. Everything is based around us, all these things. And it's like our ego, then, since it's about us, we don't want to seem bad, because, oh, why would I want to like agree to a bad image of myself? Let me then create this defense mechanism that the declines and reflects everything and then blames everything on the world. Well, you're a part of the world, so that means you're blaming yourself, but you're wanting to remain hidden. That's no different than the criminal that has just robbed a bank and is on hideout now from the cops. You're hiding yourself from a crime that is inevitable to escape, and at some point, it will catch up to you, and you just gotta sit down and accept it. Um, you really gotta understand that, because if you don't, you're just stuck in these denial loops where you're denying a part of yourself, and then stuff like stops working because you're manifesting an undesirable outline, like a undesirable reality, where things aren't working um in tangent with the divine. They're working in tangent with your fate, which is thought consciousness. You're causing all these weird events to happen, which are fated events, because you're not listening to your heart. And if you just listen to your heart, these events wouldn't be happening. And it's not like a one-time deal. Oh, I listen to my heart whenever I hear it, or well, I don't know how to do this or that, or but you do know how to do it. It's just your thought consciousness doesn't think it's a rational thing to do. Your thought consciousness wants to like bind itself to a book and then follow what that book says, because that book has written out instructions. But then even then you break those instructions, so it's like, what good was that book if you weren't even going to follow the instructions that the book came with? Well, because in actuality that book was based off of ego, and the people that then translated the book over and over again and stole it from the gypsies and the Egyptians, which are the same thing. They realized that, oh, if we could just make these things like this, it's going to be really funny, because like they're going to think it's all an external thing. They're not going to focus on themselves, even though they are egoic creatures and will only focus on themselves. They'll focus on themselves in a point to make them really not pay attention to what exactly they're trying to defend themselves from, which is their self. Um, Getting to these really like down nitty gritty energies of just seeing the control that has been put over people. Everything's a history. Every book in life is about history. Every fairy tale you hear is a story made from history. Everything you see is an imitation of things that's happened in the past that are coming back. All we're going through is history. If you really want to think about it, some of us who are being taught by people in higher sectors, you can think of those as the Temple of Light teachings, and how people would then create churches from the Temple of Light to have places of not of prayer, because churches weren't really a prayer area. It was a temple. It was a sacred area. It was a time for meditation, a time for introspection. And now these temples are now being brought back, and we're starting to realize how much of a temple Earth really is, and how why are we touching and entering this sacred temple as dirty people? Why are we making the temple dirty? Why are we painting the temple and changing how the temple is for our own gratification. And it's like, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to just be an area where you walk in. It soothes your soul. It gives you that inner confirmation. It gives you those thoughts that you need to think, those feelings you need to feel, and then allows you to exit without having any true external input. It's all internal. Everything that I say, you know, on the soul level. You either are subconsciously aware of it or consciously aware of it, or just now getting a grasp of something, or hear or know about it in a different wording. But regardless, it's about truly following those things instead of just saying that you know these things. And it's more about living it now. Like, you can know anything you want, but what's knowledge without experience? Nothing. You have to choose to be able to live these things. And no one said that was going to be easy, but that's something, again, you know, which is why you want to walk around within a spiritual ego and say that, oh, I know all these spiritual things, but yet you're not doing any of them because you feel like you're higher than it. Well, thing is, if you're being taught something, you're not higher than it, because there's levels that are higher than you that you haven't even been taught yet about what you're being told. You're not the biggest fish in the sea when it really comes down to it. We're in a sea full of a bunch of different fish, and you're just the one fish that's bigger than the fish that you're around. And that's why you need to find new water, and new nurturing, because the things that you had before no longer nurture you. You're looking for something new, something bigger, something not necessarily better, but something at a different perspective. And this is the Three of Pinnacles to the Empress. Again, like, really working with your feminine sources. And this is what the world's going towards, which is beautiful. We're all really working towards this inner acceptance of, like, not being just one person. We are most literally two people. You can go look at any alchemy textbook that you want to, of anyone from the older ages. They all had it. The shit, like, you see it. It's always like a man or a woman, or there's a two-headed being. Like, why do you think that all of these entities that are based off of the human mind and the human consciousness are a two-headed being? They're conjoined twins for a reason, and it's there to tell you that's literally who you are. Playing cards, for Pete's sake, have two heads, one body, for that exact reason. It's in front of your face every day, but it's something that you just don't bring consciousness to. You're aware of it, so you're not really seeing what's there. You just know what's there without any sort of thought to it. We're a mind. We're here to learn, and what's learning without really digging into things and knowing. And I mean, some people have to just admit that they're lazy in that department, and that they don't want to go look, and they want to just be told these things by someone, which is, again, that's perfectly fine. That's just how you wish to live. And, you know, but you have to be honest with it. You have to be brutally honest with yourself, so that whenever you receive this honesty, whenever you receive this truth, or receive anything in life, you're able to see it for how it is and not how you want it to be seen. You have to really tell yourself these things that your ego protects you from, these things that then your ego will split into two categories of hearing something as good or hearing something as bad, and all those weird, mundane, of the world things where we have to define everything instead of realizing everything is perfect the way it is. Everything is here to teach us a lesson, but it's us that are the ones that are fucked up. It's us that are the ones that aren't able to get along and comprehend certain things. And you can even see that within yourself. It's like, oh, I get along with everyone. Then why aren't you around everyone? Then why are there groups of people that you deem are bad? Like, you wouldn't, you know, because our brain has then categorized people as thieves and criminals, and you wouldn't want to go hang around a criminal, would you? What the fuck? Like, why? So then why are you calling someone a criminal? If you get along with everyone, then why did you put someone in a box just to not be around them? You know what I mean? These are the things that we put ourselves into. This is the new world consciousness awakening, where we're no longer agreeing with such terms, and we're realizing that even the worst of worst that we see externally happens for the best of us. It gets us to really think, what the fuck's going on with the world? Why are these things happening? But that's as far as we end up going. We stop at like the iceberg, and we don't go deeper than like the top of the iceberg. We don't even go all the way down and dig deep enough to really see, oh shit, what the fuck? Like, these are things that happen to me, and like, I just have to understand those things. And like, even on a grander or lesser scale, it's something that you have to like embody. And to the ones that are doing it and like really putting efforts and thoughts and work into this, hats off to you, because you're part of the people that's about to really change this world. It doesn't matter how old you are, or if you feel like you started late, or if you feel like you're starting early, or whatever the fuck you want to label it. You're doing it, and that's all that matters. The only thing that matters is actually where you're putting your energy. You know, potential energy means everything, but to the naked eye it means nothing, which is why we're here. We are the naked eye. I am naked. I am the ego that needs to be stripped down to its bare bone bodies to realize that it's defending itself from the one true thing it needs to connect itself to, um, which is you. It is yourself. It's always been yourself. It always will be yourself. There is no one else other than you. Everyone's a projection of you. Everyone likes the same things that you do for a reason. Everything hates the same things that you for a reason. People hate the things that you do for a reason, because at one point you hated it too, or maybe you didn't like being so extravagant with it, or being so outgoing with those things, so that made you hate doing it. All those things are a version of you that you then push down and then need to be realizing and seeing. We're all just the same thing, expressing how we feel truly, and then seeing if we agree with it or not. Our whole life is based off of that one simple thing. Um, but we get so close into it. We make things so cool. Everything is personal, but then we look at it too close. We want to get down to the bottom part of everything and make everything so complicated. So we put everything in these categories, which is your thought consciousness. You don't even have to, you can't really even prove that wrong, because you look at something and then you immediately go, oh, I don't agree with that. So then that's been categorized as something that you no longer agree with. And why is that? It's based off of how you feel, i.e. the ego. How do you think? Is that like a feeling you actually have, or is that a thought that's creating that feeling? All these things that we're going to become consciously aware to, just because you don't understand something, or just because you feel like it's another way, or however, um, it's like you're categorizing as something as incorrect because you understand it in a different way, which is part of the issue. Why would you categorize something as wrong even though you think of the same way, just using different words? Doesn't really make much sense. Um, if you get the message, you get the message. There's no real reason to describe it as being wrong or incorrect, or I don't agree with that. Well, then you're making a separation. It's like, why are you making a separation? If you're against separating and you're about unity and bringing things together, you still have some separation within you of being open to hearing other opinions, other people's ways of existence, which is the same existence as yours, but you're not wanting to define it as that. You're wanting to define it as something else. Instead of helping and giving advice and explaining how you see it, you then say something's wrong or incorrect, or call someone stupid or ignorant. And ignorance is needed in this world, because without ignorance there wouldn't be a reason to learn. You know what I mean? So all these things really do matter at the grand scheme of things, but what we're looking at is we're looking at little dust and specks. It's like we're looking this close to the card, we can't even see what the card is. We just know something's in front of our face, you know? Is that's what we're doing so much with ourselves, with society, with the world, that we're just walking blindly because we're not really seeing the full picture. We're seeing what we can only see, which is what we want to see, which is where our focus is attentive to. So again, back to the Three of Pinnacles, Empress. This is the whole thing of really delving into yourself and nurturing yourself, allowing your emotions, your intuitive consciousness, that comes from the divine, to really nurture you. Um, and making you feel whole. And this even, I mean, even shit, even with the intuitive consciousness, this comes to people, and this is going to be a fun topic. This is about the topic of God, and no one wants to hear the word God anymore because it's been drugged through the dirt so fucking much that anytime you hear God, you think Christian Bible, and then that goes, oh, well, that's not the real God. Well, who the fuck's the real God then? If that's not the real God, then let's go back. And that's not saying the Christian God is the real God. That's just saying that the word God that has been used for multiple things, the grand scheme of things, has been so drugged through the dirt and banished and bastardized and slandered to the point where no one wants to even say the word God, because at that point it's like, oh, look at you, like pushing a religion. And it's like, no, we're just using the word God to describe that which is unknown. I today, in the lessons that I was having, um, my teacher decided to tell me that um, a word for God that they're working on is to call just God mystery, bringing it back to the original words, the words that truly we are more familiar with, that have no bias towards, bringing the word God to a non-biased energy, because it's been so pushed in our heads through abuse of religion and abuse of spirituality and then abuse of life, that we just feel like God's a bad thing. So then, like, that's another fucking thing that we have to work on. So we're gonna have to rename God. We're gonna have to rename everything to bring it back to its neutral balance of not being so bad, but being just all that is, which is good. And that's gonna take a while too. But just these things that we're not even really paying attention to. We're allowing things that shouldn't identify with certain things identify with them, all because some man wrote in a book that it should be that way, and then we take that to our heart, and then we'll defend it with our lives. Yet we won't defend how we feel at all. We'd rather defend a word than ourselves, which is how society, this is how the world really is at this point in time, which is really fucking sad. Um, why would we dare not defend ourselves, our emotions, how we truly feel? Yeah, it's like Christmas too. Like, people are like, oh, it's Xmas because people aren't religious. Well, why are you making it religious? Why are you yourself allowing yourself to then agree and then get mad at something for being religious whenever you know that you can identify with it not being religious? That's literally how much control you have over life, is you can define things as good and bad, yet you say you're a good person and then identify everything as being bad. How does that make sense? How are you a good person if everything you look at is defined by bad? Let's get real with ourselves and really start, like, looking at things as people should, instead of like trying to use your ego to blanket things up. Like, this is the awakening that we want to have, and this is the awakening that everyone in the collective, spiritual or not, are wanting to have. Yet then when it's brought to the table, it's like a kid with asparagus, either they like it or they don't, and they got to grow into it. And it's like, oh, that's not at all what the awakening should be. Well, that's because you're not even awakened in the first place. You're just agreeing with terms that agree with your ego to make yourself feel better. Welcome to reality. You're the issue because you're not agreeing to the things that you want to happen. So how is it going to happen if you don't want it to happen? Like, come on. Let's really start to get into it. And this is why it's a joke. This is why it's funny. Because it's really just you not being open to things that you ask for. How else are you going to receive it if you yourself are not going to be looked at in that image? You have to receive it, you have to take it, and these people just want it to come to them on some sort of imaginary silver platter where everything's hunky-dory, and it's like, well, you're not hunky-dory inside, so how is it going to come to you in a peaceful manner if you yourself don't have inner peace? There is no aggression from what I speak. There is really no passion. There's as much passion as you will really give it to be, as much passion as I will it to be. Regardless, at the end of the day, I'm just telling you things that we already know from ourselves, but we have to really be brave enough to look into those, to look into ourselves and really get nitty gritty with it, and realize these things. And until you are ready, you won't be ready, and you have to be ready. And this is the universe's true test for those that want to evolve to the higher consciousness of the world, the 5D world, if you want to think of it as that, the 70-60, however. And those that want to stay on the 3D, attached to old ideologies, attached to how their thoughts make them think, and rather than the emotions. It's the actual split. You're not as spiritual as you think you are. You just want to feel powerful in a world that has stripped you of your power, because you yourself can't give power to yourself without seeing or hearing about something else out there that doesn't really exist give you some sort of power, in order to move forward. Um, these are the things we gotta understand. We get the power we give to things is as much power as it's gonna have. The fact that we say that something out there is gonna control our whole life makes it control our whole life, and then we're like, why is everything out of hand? Well, because you've given something unknowingly to, like, you don't even understand, a thing that you now have a egoic bias on, control over your life, and it's doing things to you that it knows is best for you. So now you're mad at it for doing those things to you. You're mad at being put in those positions because you've yet to learn those lessons. It's like, well, you shouldn't have give your power away. And if you don't give it away to someone, it's just going to stay inside of you. And if you don't power yourself up, then it's wasted. It's like you have to wake up to these things, and just I love pointing this out because every time I talk about it, it's like my thought consciousness goes, yeah, but you're young. Who gives a fuck? We all used to be young. You know, it's just all about how aware you are of things. It has nothing to do with age. I've gone through less things than most people have in this life, but yet explain how I know so much is because I'm aware. I sit down, I think about things. I don't let things go day to day. Why is the stop sign red? Why are we afraid of the color red? Why does the color red catch our attention? Is it something with the retinas? Is it something like what's going on? Like why do I have emotions and thoughts? And why can my thoughts control my emotions, but why can't my emotions control my thoughts? Why can I be happy and then one thought comes in and fucks my whole day up? Like what's going on with that? You have to think about these things. There are things that happen in our experience in our lifetime for a reason. And it's not for them just to fuck us over and to make us feel bad. It's for us to really learn who we are. And that's how you get closer to God, because God's inside of you. You know? God is not an external source looking down on you. God comes from within. You get the divine wisdom from within. We all know this. It's called intuition. But yet we go around looking for proof of that God and proof of that intuition, regardless of following it or not. If you were following it, your proof would be there on the silver platter that you've been wanting. But instead, you're wandering the streets looking for where's God at. Well, maybe if you looked inside, you'd find the God within you, and you'd understand that God is just trying to explain to you that there's a part of you you're not looking at, which is the feminine aspect, which is the unification of both the masculine and feminine. You're literally in the middle. It's called the third eye for a reason. And, you know, it's they say if you're offended by the world, pluck out your right eye. If you're offended spiritually, pluck out your left for a reason. You see spiritually with your left because your left is for the spiritual. Your left is divinely given, and your right is literally given by the 3D. It's like you receive with your left and you give with your right. Your right is masculine in the sense because it will take what it pleases. It will input and take and agree and disagree, while your feminine side will accept whatever comes to it and just know that it is what it is. And it's not to say, oh, it is what it is, haha, like world shit. No, but you accept whatever comes at you for how it is. The honest truth, keeping it pure without having thought dirty it, without having the conscious mind make it stale by defining it or putting it in a box, or denying or even trying to accept it, just allowing things to happen and move through this life, because that's the biggest the biggest consequence you can give is restriction. It's about letting the flow happen and not really allowing anything to affect you. Like everyone at the end of the day knows that this world's hard, but it's because we're hard on ourselves. You know, if we would be a little bit easier on ourselves, it'd be easier, and the strength wants to come out. You know, that's even more confirmation, allowing your emotions to soothe your thoughts. I'm happy, and then I have a weird bad thought. Oh, well, why'd you come up? Like, I'm in a good mood. I don't really feel like dealing with you. I don't have to have these thoughts that I've allowed my brain to rampantly create. And because it's received no backlash or no, hey, I don't feel that way, or hey, I don't think like that, or hey, let's fix this. And it hasn't received any of that for such a long time that these thoughts just keep coming left, right, left, right. And it's like, fuck, like what's going on? Like, why do I feel so shit when I'm happy? Well, because when you're happy, you've allowed your masculine consciousness, the free will that it has, you, instead of restricting it, you've allowed it to just create these nasty thoughts when you're happy to ruin your mood. Um, or when you're happy, you end up thinking about certain things. Let's say you get happy and you're nostalgic, and then you start thinking about the bad things that's happened. It's like, well, you haven't put a restraint on your masculine consciousness to be more emotionally aware of like what's going on with your feelings, instead of feeling this energy and letting that energy run rampant. Um, and that's all this world's about, is really controlling yourself. If you don't have self-control, you will not have much of anything in this world. Let me tell you, it's a journey, it's a path you have to really take, and the ones that really sit down, understand this, work on it, whether it's an everyday thing, of course, but the ones that actually try are the ones that's really making the difference. And to those that really are out here trying, with me and with others, and I, take my hats off. That's few and far between. But we're the ones that's really gonna start making a change for the better. Everyone wants to be the one that saved the world, but do you see what you have to go through to save the world? You have to go through yourself. The most stubborn person on this planet is yourself, and you have to go through yourself to even get that to work. So, hats off to you for being the one person brave enough to do it, because no one else is. In fact, we're so stubborn that we'll just let our minds do whatever the fuck it wants to us while it steps on us, and then we go out and blame other people because we're not able to admit that it's just us beating ourselves up. But no, really, in actuality, it takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot to really nurture yourself so that your thoughts are tamed, so that you're actually able. And that doesn't mean shutting your brain off and not thinking or feeling, but this really means getting down to the gist of things and being like, I think this because in the past this happened, but my feelings are telling me that if I go forward with this action, my intuition is telling me if I go forward with this action, everything's going to be fine. But I keep thinking about things that are going to happen, and I keep thinking this is going to happen. I need to think that I need to plan something out instead of just following my emotion. And I already know what to do because I'm experiencing it now. And if it's about relocation, if I just need to relocate, I just need to do the same thing that got me here to get there. But oh, it's a longer distance, or oh, it's more than that. No, it's literally the same thing over and over again. It's the repetition. It's the seeing how much you're able to grow, and it might be like a few extra miles or however. But regardless, that's how your brain is trained to think, is to stop you. It's Saturn stopping you. It's time stopping you. Oh, and there you are. I was about to talk about you too, and here you fucking are. The Five of Wands. This is literally you walking against the grit of the sand, you moving forward. You are the one in the blue. Notice how the one in the blue is the only one not looking at anyone. You think this is a conflict that people bashing each other. No, this is everyone holding up sticks. Everyone has their own stick. Everyone has their own path of life. You in the blue are walking this way and everyone else is walking that way. The one in the red is Saturn. And Saturn's beating your ass down, and it's like, no, you're not going to go that way. What you're going to do is you're going to go this way. You're going to be miserable like the rest of us, and you're not going to fix anything about yourself. Meanwhile, here you are, a blue, innocent, floral outfit. You want to grow, you want to be reborn, you want to be birthed again, you want to have a better life, so you're going against the grain, and you're trying to fight yourself to even do that, because you've set up so many boundaries over time that prevent you from even getting there. And it's really what reality is trying to show you. I mean, like, for fuck's sake, Saturn, like, was the devourer. Anything created by time will be destroyed by time. And what is time? Our experience here on Earth. We define everything by time. Well, when I was 6 years old, well, that's by time. 6 years old is the time that you've had. And then those things are going to be devoured by time. Those ideas that you've had when you were younger were devoured by time, because man was made to experience time. It's that same cycle. It's the same growth cycle. Our battle isn't against, the big bad corporate enemy. It's against Saturn, our father, time, the one that devours all, And all you have to do is fight what you've experienced over time, which is your traumas, your ancestral karmas, however you want to think about it. You just have to battle those, go against the grain, because that's where those thoughts are generated from past experiences. It doesn't forget. The brain has created this weird matrix in reality to where you're not going to forget. Those fears come from somewhere. They don't come from nowhere. Those thoughts are generated from past experiences that you've had before. That's really how it is. Indra's nest, we're all connected. Even when you die and you come back, though your flesh is different, your soul is the same, and your soul is what talks to your brain. Your soul is where your heart is. Your soul is all in this sacred place, and it talks to your masculine side. And then your masculine side gets all these ideals and shit. That's why you have these, 5-year-old prophets coming out, because they're not 5 years old. They're literally 17 eon-year-old deities coming back to fucking life, and they understand everything they learned whenever they died all those eons ago. They're just coming back as a youthful form. They're just coming back. That's the basis of it. You don't forget anything. The only thing you forget is yourself. You forget how powerful you are. You forget yourself, but you feel it. It's a feeling. It's not a thought. And those feelings will generate those thoughts to get you back on the right path. But you have to fight yourself to get there first. And how do you fight yourself? By existing in this reality. you know. And that's just the truth of it. Like, you have to get down and you have to think about these things. And the reason it's like, oh, that makes sense, or oh, so that's why, it's because that's the truth. You've allowed yourself to open up to higher beings. That's the whole thing of being spiritual. You spiritualize things. You don't realize it. Realize. You don't real eye it. You don't view it. You spiritualize it. You put it in your spirit for your spirit to understand it, because your spirit already knows. Your spirit's just waiting for you to be like, oh yeah, here, take this information. What do you think of it? What's going on? What can this information make me feel? And then it goes, oh yeah, so this is you in the past life. And then all these things start clicking together, and you realize that we're still in the constellations up in the stars, and we're just looking down waiting for us to realize, oh hey, it's time to like get back in together. And there's just a lot of Leo energy out here as well, and Leo's isn't necessarily being a leader to others. A Leo placement is, you being a leader of your own life. And then what does that do? That attracts other people. Oh hi, you look like you know what you're doing in life, so let me follow in your footsteps. In actuality, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here at all. All I'm doing is getting down to the nitty gritty so I can get closer to myself, so I can be closer to God. And like, what is that gonna do at that point? Well, then what happens when I get closer to God? I don't know. I've never met anyone that's that close to God before. I've never met anyone who's actually on the path to get closer to themselves, to know these deeper insights of the world. I only know people that feel that way, and then I meet people that do, like, are on that path, and one of them's the teacher that I'm being taught by, and they're like it's the same thing as me. It's like, yeah, this is just what you do. Like, what else is there to do? Experience. And how else can we experience? But it's all about that. Like, a Leo role isn't you needing to lead a bunch of people. Bitch, if you can't lead yourself, you're not a leader. If you can't get up off your ass and lead yourself down the road to go buy a bag of chips from the store, you're not a leader, because you're not leading yourself to do so. But yet you have all these grandeur ideas and wonder why those can't work. It's because you've put up these small barriers in yourself that you now have to jump over. And instead of jumping over them, you want to go bully someone else and bother someone else and put them under control of your dictations, and then watch them do all the hard work and be like, oh, look what I did. Like, no. Like, let's get real. That's your ego talking. Let's get real with it. We have to admit, we're not as strong as we think we are. We're pretty fucking weak down here. We're scared of everything because we're scared of ourselves. But we'll realize it sooner or later. We will. And when you do, that's when everything becomes a joke, because it's like, damn, like, I was like, I don't know. It's like, it's just awful. It's not awful. It really isn't. It's just like, it's really like, damn. It's just a damn moment. It's like, it is a damn. It's a blockage that you've built in front of yourself. But it's like, wow, like, I did this to myself the whole time. It's like, yeah, it's just been you. It really has just been you. And that's a relief. Because God forbid someone else actually have that power over me. Holy shit, that would really suck. It's just really been me this whole time, stopping myself. Yeah. No one else on the external has been stopping you. You've been stopping yourself because you think about, you don't have this type of money, or you think that you can't do something. It's those things right there that are stopping you. And then, yeah, you come here on Earth, and then you have your physical liabilities that you have to deal with. That's a whole other story. Your physical liabilities, that's a whole other thing. We're talking about the mental. We're talking about the force that actually brings you to do those things. The thing that can either pay attention to the passion that you have inside of you, that fire, that pure source of divine energy, or the source that wants to view everything as a hellhole and not realize that it's coming from a hellhole because it's so separate from the divine that it can't even see the light anymore. And you're just walking around shining your light, and you're not even really accepting your own. But it's always been you, and that should just be a relief. That shouldn't be anything to hurt you. And if it does hurt you, that's because your ego is still holding up those barriers. And pain is the normal thing. You either awaken by pleasure or by pain. Those are the two ways you're awakened. That's the duality of it. You either come to your senses when you break your ankle, or when you feel love, and one of the two has to happen. You either trip over yourself and break your ankle because your ego's too big, or you end up finding the love of your life is truly yourself, because you don't have any disagreements with yourself, and the only love you can feel is the love that you give yourself, and you're awakened that way. Either way, it leads you to it. One's just a little bit more shocking than the other. Sometimes you need that shock because you've been dead, you've been alive, which is not living, for so long that you need to be resuscitated. And how do you resuscitate someone? Fucking shocking them to death, shocking them till they come back. you gotta defibrillate them for a minute, It's just how it is. You cannot come back to life without that spark, without that jolt. So, you know, you either shock yourself or you love yourself. One of the ways it's gonna work. I'm telling you, I've gone through both. I'm still going through both. They're very interesting how they coexist in that same way, because sometimes that love is shocking and sometimes that shock is loving. Oh Lord. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm having way too much fun. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm just having fun. I love talking about shit like this. These are the things that I have contemplated my whole life. I did not have a childhood. I had an awakening, is what I had. I had a part of me where I had to realize how dead my life was, and I had to wake up from it, you know? My childhood can wait. My childhood can come whenever I'm fully connected with myself. That's when I'm really going to enjoy my childhood. That's when my childhood's going to exist, because being here on Earth is my entire childhood, and that's something you have to come to agree with. But the Four of Swords, it's all about laying down that sword, just resting, letting the divine take control. Like it's not you. Well, it's you, but you can't control all you want. You can control your fate, but you can't control your destiny. You come down here for a destiny, and that destiny is to support you. That destiny is not to harm you. Anything that goes awry in your life is fated to happen because you listen to thought consciousness rather than your intuitive mindset. Um, so understanding that as well. And these things are like, they're hard to digest. Trust me, they are. It just took years for me to even understand these things. And on top of that, it took someone else telling me these things so that I don't feel fucking stupid out here saying these things. It took someone else who's like, yeah, no, I that's the same thing over here. It's like, okay, cool. So we're saying similar things. We agree with the same outlook. So I'm not as dumb as I think, and I feel like I'm on the right path. And the ego needs its like it's gratification in some sort of way, and sometimes the feeling isn't enough. Sometimes it takes someone else to really tell you it point and blank, like, hey, yeah, like the way you feel about it is how it's going on, because it's the same way for me, and if I'm a reflection of you and we're both understanding it, then that means we're looking at each other. I'm not looking back, I'm not looking forward. The mirror's right here and we're actually talking to each other for once. The spirit's there. It takes two to equal a third, you know? That spirit between us is talking. That's the mirror. That's the fog of the mirror. That's why we're seeing things the way we are. That's why we're understanding, and that's why we're agreeing. That's why we feel the same way about these things, is because there's no more mysterious fog that makes us have to look back, and there's no more like trying to look beyond the mirror to see a fucking wall that we can't even go through. It's just realizing, oh, hey, we're right here, you know? Which is the beauty of life. It's really realizing that. And to some, that might feel dumb and bleak, but that's just because inside you're not really seeing the joy in it. You're not really understanding how enlightening it is. And that's, you know, enlightening is why it's called light. It's why you get enlightened. You literally get hit by the lightning bolt. You get Zeusified. And Zeus comes back. Zeus comes back to life. It's how it is. But really, just, I don't know. It's just these things that people really, really need to start talking about. And not even just talking about it, but just thinking on it day to day, going throughout your life, and having something be like, oh yeah, so this is why that happened, and putting two to two together, and seeing the duality of life, and seeing that duality is the same duality inside yourself. And you can see that with modern day relationships where the masculine doesn't want to listen to the feminine, or the feminine it just isn't anywhere to be seen because the masculine feels like it can do it by itself. And the feminine is love. It's not an actual female. Don't get it twisted. The feminine is the love. It's the overall knowing. It's what you will literally get when you're looking at a broken relationship from the outside, and you'll see like, yeah, that person's not for you, but you're not wanting to say that because you're afraid of hurting someone's feelings, instead of like listening to your intuition and saying, yo, you're literally in a hellhole because Jake is an abuser, and you're in love with an abuser. You've been Stockholm because you don't love yourself enough, and you're allowing your love to come from an external source first, rather than putting yourself first and loving yourself first. And all these things. But then again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not knowing any of these things. There's nothing wrong with not agreeing with any of these things. These are just things that need to be thought about and really looked at to understand the greater scheme. And some people are ready to do that, some people aren't, and that's just personal preference. But regardless, the ones that are ready to experience this and learn and heal from this are the ones really putting their foot down for the new earth. They're paving the way, and someone has to do it. And why not us? You know? Well, like, if that's what you feel like you have to do. Yeah, I mean, here it is. It's not an easy road to love yourself. It's not an easy road to let the divine move you. It is not an easy road to let your intuition guide you. But you know deep down inside, because of how it feels to you, that it's the right thing for you. The feeling you get lights you on fire. It literally puts you on fire. That feeling is not just like, ooh, goosebumps. That's the fire of life being struck inside of you. You're waking up again. You're coming back to life. And it's like, it's something inside of you that starts getting that attention that it hasn't got before. And it's like, oh, me? It's the same thing of like when you're not getting attention and someone walks up to you and talks to you, that startled emotion, that, oh goodness, you start getting red faced and blushing. Same thing happens to that emotion. It's like, oh hey, oh shit, I'm being paid attention to now. I've been here the whole time trying to tell you something, and now I'm being paid attention to. Holy shit. Let me tell you everything. Like, that's what's going on. But you know you can trust the divine, but yet it's like your masculine, your logical can't trust it because it's not able to see how that's plausible. That doesn't calculate the correct way. Well, you do math wrong too. You think 1 + 1 is 2 and 1 is 3. Look in nature, when a mother and a father get together to create a baby, which is a third, it doesn't equal fucking 2. The baby just isn't just not born, unless, like, God forbid, something happens within the maternal cycle, or, the mother passes away before birth, during birth, before birth, or however, it equals a third. 2 becomes 3. Mommy and daddy make me. Yeah, but, we go in school and we're taught 1 + 1 is 1, and then we look out in nature and we don't see that, and then we go around saying it equals 1 + 1 is 2, and then all of a sudden you're like the third offspring, and it doesn't make any sense to you, but you don't pay attention to it. Like, all these things are in front of us and we don't pay attention to it because we're told one thing but we experience another. And that's the thing. That's why the awakening at some point gets kind of funny, because it's like, damn, like, it's really like that. It's like, yeah, it has been for a while. I'm glad you're waking up to the big joke of everyone kind of like running in circles, and then we're like, oh wait, we're walking in a circle. We're not ants. We can see in 3D. We have the ability to feel our emotions, but then we choose not to. Or we choose to use our emotions for egoic reasons, for the self. But with the Fool, I just love how everything just falls out in place. But with the Fool, this is the journey that you signed up for. to walk, to take the leap, to leave mother's nest, to know that everything is well. You have the white lily in your hand, signifying a sign of peace, of love, of harmony. You're ready. Your wings are forming, and your consciousness is waking up and barking at you to just tell you to pay it. Your thought consciousness, is waking up and warning you that there's a cliff, and you know that there's a cliff, but you walk off anyway, and you fall and you bump your head. You become Humpty Dumpty, so then you have to nurture yourself, because no matter how much action you put into the external world, you're never going to feel that void. And that is the story of Humpty Dumpty. I'll even show you with the tarot. Hold on. I'll even show you with this. This is the good thing. This is really funny that this came to me. So y'all know Humpty Dumpty though, right? I know y'all know Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. You know what the king's horses are? I bet you will once I say it, once you've heard it like this. I bet it's starting to click for some of you. But you know what the king's horses are? You know what the king's horses are? Let me get the fourth one out, because there's 4 of them in this deck. The king's horses are knights. And who are the kings? Obviously the kings. And why can't they put anything together? Because they're lacking the emotional input. They feel like they can put things together by, oh, we just glue them back together. No, you have to nurture that shit back together, dude. The ego is the egg, and when the ego falls down to earth, you are the ego, and you fall down to earth, you're shattered into a million pieces. Your dreams are ruined, and no matter how much external work you put, it's not going to make you feel better, because you're using the king's horses and the king's men. You're using quick movement and logic and rationality to fix your issues, but in actuality, you just need to love yourself a little bit more and really nurture yourself. That's Humpty Dumpty broke down for you right there in front of you. You know, not many people know this. The same thing with Jack and Jill at the tower. The reason Jill still has the crown on her, the feminine on the tower, I'll even pull that out and show you too. The reason why she still even has the crown is because she knew better. But she has to follow where the intuition leads you, the consciousness, because you can't separate your emotions from your actions. Your emotions will follow your actions if need be. And again, not to harm you, but to let you see how it is. Like, there it is right there. You see Jack has no crown. The lightning bolt struck the crown off, and here's Jill over there still with the crown on. You know, because Jill knew from the beginning, hey, you know, let's not do this. It's not right to do this. And then you still do it anyway because you'd rather, you know, experience something, which is how we learn. So there's nothing wrong with it. But again, like these riddles that were taught, that were made from gypsies fucking eons ago. Back in Egypt, these gypsies made these riddles. There's so many more. Cinderella's story, she knew she had a destiny. She followed what her heart did. What her heart was told, she listened to her destiny. You know, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of them all? It shows someone else, and then you get pissed off that it's someone else. And it's like, well, what do you want to know? Do you think you're better than everyone or something? You really feel like you're on top of the world? Wait till you see someone else that then makes you upset because they're a reflection of you, and you're not living up to that. Oh boy, let's get down to it. You know, these riddles exist for a reason, and they're the riddles that will solve your life problems. But you don't know the answer to them because no one gives a fuck about answering them. We just go around telling everyone shit and feel better about ourselves instead of actually explaining these things. That's why we have teachers who actually explain things and tell you things. And that's why teachers have to learn so they can actually tell you what the answers are to things. You can't learn if you're not experiencing. You know? That's why so many like of these false leaders go down into shambles. It's like, well, what the fuck do you actually know? You know nothing, and you admit that you know nothing, but yet you still lead by a false example. You're still out here living a luxurious life, driving around in your fucking Lambos, not even trying to help anyone. You're just, oh, you'll do it, you can make it. Yeah, what the fuck do you mean I can make it? How the fuck, like, help me. I'm asking for help, and all you're saying is, oh, you'll do better soon. The fuck, let me know what's wrong with me. You come to readers and you're like a doctor. We're like doctors over here. We help you. We're the ones to like tie you up and be like, all right, so this is your condition. This is how we're gonna help you. That's like readers. That's teachers. That's what we're here to do. How the fuck are we gonna help you if you don't even know what your problem is and your problem starts with you? You know, and if it's like you're sick with the flu. Oh, I don't have the flu. Okay, well, the doctor diagnosed you with the flu, and now you're dying of the flu, and now you're really sick with the flu, and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, you have the flu. Why didn't you take the medication? Self-medicate, you know what I mean? But regardless, that is what I wanted to talk about. That's partial of the reading. That is your diagnosis. That's my diagnosis. That's everything. That is what I have to tell you. I'm also being told this. There are only 2 mental illnesses in this world, and I forgot them already. One of them is lunacy. There's 2 mental illnesses. Thank you, I remembered. Insanity and being a lunatic. Those are the only 2. I forgot which one does what. One of them is a lack of emotion, and the other one's a lack of thought. But regardless, those are the only 2 mental illnesses in the world, but they have been split up and spread across and diagnosed, and to make everyone feel bad and to be like, oh, I'm too sick. Like, we're all bipolar. Why the fuck would you not? Like, listen, you have, like, we're bipolar people, right? We have 2 poles. Like, it's, I don't know, like, I don't know. We'll realize one day, everyone, we'll wake up to it eventually. But regardless, that is the reading I have for you. That is the knowledge. That is the classic insight that we all know and love to hear. But thank you all so much for being here and just being open to hear what is being said inside of you. And, you know, not everyone knows how to. Some people truly do need someone else on the external to tell them these things, which is why people exist. That's why I've been manifested here to do so. Is because someone's asking out there, what the fuck's going on? Like, well, let me tell you what's going on. You know, what's going on is you, and then you've manifested me to tell you that as well. But in a better way so that you can actually digest it. You know, that's the whole energetic attachments and, you know, gatherings of people and whatnot. But regardless, thank you all for being here. I love you all so much. If you're wanting a reading to be part of the Google chat that we have, any of the books or whatever that I have, feel free to email me or use the Google sheet below. If you want to be part of the Google group, you have to email me, though. Don't use the sheet for that. There's not an option for that there. Regardless, again, just thank you for being here. Your likes, comments, shares, subscribes, everything, your attention, the energetic transactions, however it is, I appreciate all of them to the world and back, tenfold and forever. I love you all so much. And you all are doing a beautiful job at what you're doing, but you need to keep at it, and you need to keep realizing the deeper meanings of yourself in order to really understand what's truly going on out here. Because in order to figure out about the macrocosm is look at the microcosm, and funnily enough, we're the micro and the macro. So, but yeah, I love you all, and